Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the evolution of EFBs. So what is an EFB? So an EFB is an electronic flight bag, right? It is the digital version of the paper charts that we are so used to seeing pilots carry through an airport. So how did they come to be? So once the digital revolution came to be, we had an opportunity to take certain items, such as uh, an airport taxi diagram, and convert that from a paper copy to a digital copy. All right. And some of the very first things that the FAA and airlines would allow pilots to utilize digital copies for were simply taxiing across the ground, because that was not that dangerous, right? Pilots could simply look outside and they could verify that what they saw on their paper charts matched what was actually happening. So eventually EFBs would come to replace 40 pounds roughly worth of paper. That was sectional charts, terminal charts, instrument approach plates, taxi diagrams, you name it, NOTAMs, whatnot. So we'll talk about that more in the next few slides, but it really eliminated the need for pilots to carry so much stuff with them. So how did it start? FedEx started out with the airport performance computer. Okay, it was basically a laptop that was just an airport diagram. It helped them taxi from point A to point B. It helped them to get from the runway to the terminal, terminal to the runway, so on and so forth. Very simple. Nobody complained about it. The FAA liked it. It was kind of a test model, and FedEx loved it, so it was great. That evolved a handful of years later into the electronic kit bag. That was about 1999 and 2000 when that became prevalent. And it did basically the same thing, but it had a catchy name, it was patented, and it was being pushed out using the FedEx data to show that it was reliable. And then Continental and some other airlines started trying to pick up on this too, and they came out with the Airport Surface Area Moving Map, the Alpha Mike Mike. Again, really the same thing. Now, we've gone through the entire 1990s with these tools that did nothing more than show where your aircraft was and give you a black and white representation of what the airport looked like with taxi diagrams and whatnot. Very simple stuff, but at the same time, it was still groundbreaking. So why are EFBs important? Well, digital copies of maps can be updated immediately. Paper copies that need to be updated every 28 days or 30 days or 60 days or 180 days or fill in the blank based on whatever it is you're looking to update, whether it's SOPs or instrument approach charts or sectionals or terminal charts or what have you. They can easily be forgotten, they can become outdated, but an electronic flight bag can be updated immediately. So there's one benefit. What do EFBs replace? Well, I already kind of touched on that. The airlines were making pilots carry around suitcases, and again, it's the rollaway suitcases that us old-timers 35, 40, and older that traveled via airlines, remember pilots carrying around this black case. That was up to 40 pounds worth of charts and manuals and whatnot. The electronic flight bag did away with that. It is now in a tablet that you can hold in your hands. So that's a phenomenal improvement. So again, chart bags were replaced. Weight and balance tools became available. You could easily plug in your cargo, your passenger loads, your fuel loads, and you would get your weight and balance data. That's especially important for a small aircraft operator like myself, because if I plug in weight and balance and maybe I should take this person and put him in the back seat, I can quickly do calculations without having to pull pen and paper out. That's great. So for me, 4 and 6 seat operator, easy. but you can still get up into 19 seat operators. Having that right there where weight and balance is so critical. 737 and bigger, it may not be as critical, but for those of us in smaller aircraft, it is super critical. It just makes it that much easier and that much more accurate to have it digitally available. Airport diagrams, again, talked about that, but now instead of just having a picture, it is geo-referenced. So wherever you are is where you are, and just follow that line around until you get to your parking spot. How easy is that, right? I didn't learn that way. I had to memorize where all the taxiways were and the ramps were, and because I started flying out of military airports, they had no markings whatsoever. You just had to know that this would be Alpha and that'd be Bravo, and turn left here to go over there, and turn right over here to go there. They didn't give you a lot of help. But even in those situations, nowadays, you don't need that help. You can look at your EFB, boom, there it is. I think we already talked about why they're important. I mean, it makes planning so much easier. You can do the planning in your hotel room. You can do it at your home. You can do it in the FBO. You could even update your planning right there in the cockpit before you load it into your system and go fly away. And again, they replace all the charts. They replace the need to get an active weather briefing. Not that you shouldn't get a briefing, but if you need an update, you can simply download it to your EFB. You could not do that in years past. So EFBs are phenomenal in that respect. So now, it took the FAA a while to adopt this new technology. It really took people like, or organizations like FedEx and Continental and the 135 operators, and definitely the Part 91 private operators. It took all of them working together to show that these things were viable and that they were helpful. So the FAA finally came out with an AC, which we will get to in a moment, that talks about what it takes to have a valid EFB and to have it certified. So Part 91, already kind of touched on that. Part 91 operations didn't require a whole lot, except the FAA did understand that a digital chart could replace a paper chart. That was a huge step for Part 91 operators. I still carry a paper chart, even though it might be outdated. Mountains don't move. Sure, airspace might change, but it's not there for navigation purposes. It's there as an emergency backup, which is one of the freedoms we have under Part 91. Part 121, way more restrictive. It took them a long time to go from simply navigating across the ground to get from point A to point B in a non-flying environment to using those same tools to navigate in the air. Part 135 was kind of the bridge that gapped them. So 135 operators were the ones that helped take the FAA from Part 91, oh, you're just a hobbyist, into the 121 world of professional flight. And without the 135 operators being willing to adopt the electronic flight bags, the ForeFlight, the Garmin, the Microsoft Surface Pro, and all the specialty EFBs that were coming out at the time, Part 121 operators wouldn't have those today, I don't believe. So we talked about AC 120-76 Delta. Okay, this is the FAA guidance as to what an EFB can be used for. It also determines and defines what operations can use an EFB. As you can see here, Part 91K, which is fractional ownership, 121, the scheduled operators, 125 and 135, charter operators and so on. It kind of gives them a baseline of what they can use these devices for. So the AC was very, very helpful in helping move things forward. It also defines what an EFB is. So any device, combination devices, actively displaying these applications. Okay, it's for planning, it's for navigation, it's for weather, it's for all of these things, and all of it's outlined right here. Without this AC, companies could not build applications that were beneficial. So good for the FAA for giving us this guidance. Now, modern day application. So things have changed since the 1990s, obviously. FedEx was kind of the groundbreaker. Continental followed in, but it was Delta that really adopted the EFB. They had dedicated tablets, but they were also willing to press forward and adopt things like the iPad. And again, it was a dedicated tablet, but it had what became the Garmin Pilot system. And then the military, of all places, the military, right? A place that is not known for innovation necessarily. As a 20-plus-year-old veteran myself, the military adopting ForeFlight was phenomenal. ForeFlight saw an opportunity and they jumped on it. They made things available for helicopter pilots. They made things available for fixed-wing fast attack pilots. They made things available for Civil Air Patrol search and rescue pilots. They really jumped on the military bandwagon, and that right there made it so a lot of these programs they had credibility almost overnight, really, because the military pilots, if they were using it, then the civilian pilots would also want to use it, or military pilots transitioning from the military world to the civilian world would back this application. I can't fault them for it, and their product is phenomenal. So, same thing with Garmin. Garmin was very proprietary to begin with, but they've also started to understand that interfacing with other third-party applications is in their best interest. I use ForeFlight on an iPad. The Garmin that is in the aircraft that I utilize most can talk to ForeFlight, and I can load my flight plan directly to the system, and vice versa. I don't even know what to say. It's phenomenal. I think it's great. When I first learned how to fly, it was paper charts. There was obviously no interaction between a paper chart and your NavCom, right? And then we got a KLN 89. Okay, paper chart to KLN. Nope, doesn't work. And then we got iPads. iPad to KLN. Nope. iPad to early Garmin's with no graphical interface, just nothing but grid coordinates or the diamond going left, right if you're off course. Nope. But now we've gone from all that to touch screen, to rubber banding, to loading your flight plan from your tablet into your dash mount or your panel mount GPS navigation system. What's going to happen tomorrow? I've only been flying for 15 years and only routinely for the last 8 or so years. But what's going to happen 15 years from now, 20 years from now? The EFB might be the only thing you need. It could be a click-in addition to your dash, and that iPad or whatever it's called in 15 years may be the only thing you ever need. I'm excited to see what that looks like, but I'm also wary that too many people will become too reliant on it and not understand how to utilize analog, whether it's analog paper, a pencil, a ruler, airspeed indicator, altimeter. I have my concerns, but as of right now, I'm excited for tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you have a great time. I hope you did well in class, and we'll talk to you later.